professional growth. We will provide students with an innovative curriculum supported by various co-curricular activities. The outcome of our efforts will empower students to make a difference in their community and world. We believe in providing a safe environment where healthy relationships and student growth are priorities. Item 2, adopt agenda. Do we have a motion?
Move to adopt.
Second.
First and second. Please call the roll.
Sluter,
Aye.
Oberlin,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Wolf,
Aye.
Wheeler,
Aye.
Barsh.
Aye. Motion carried. Item 3, showcasing the schools. So we have Missouri Elementary School. Take it away.
Good evening, everyone. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Dean Murphy, principal at Missouri Ridge Elementary, and I'm excited to get started. Have them pull up our slide. I like to challenge myself.
Item 3, showcasing the schools. So
Deja vu.
Okay. All right, I like to challenge myself. So last year when I gave this presentation, I had a lot of information, but I didn't have a lot of pictures. You didn't get to see what we were doing with the kids, with our staff, with our families. So I thought this would be a great way to start off the year. We are a Title I school-wide school, 3 sections of K-5. We've had the pleasure of hosting the 5th grade the entire time we've been at school. This will be our 4th year together. So here we go. As Germanson, as we'd say, squawk, squawk, we are the Hawks. Next slide, please. All right, we're going to jump into BAR. As you've heard, the schools across the district have joined this, it's incredible, this incredible building assets, reducing risk. I love, we're in year 3 of this. And so I put up the 4 components of this. We are so far into this. It is just a beautiful working machine. It's helping kids in real time. So as you can see, our Big Block, for those of you that are familiar with Big Block is comprised of a teacher from every single grade. We have 3 teams. So we have a team that would have a kindergarten person, a 1st grade, 2nd grade, 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade teacher, a special teacher, a special education teacher. These are for kiddos that the teachers have gotten together. They're saying, look, we're trying all these things, but we just can't help these kids. How can we help them more? So you bring these kiddos to this great big group of individuals across your school, and you're able to troubleshoot that. So these are the grades. These are the levels, the numbers we've helped there. Small block is where our teachers meet with the para as well. So it's all 3 classroom teachers, the para. It's a time during the day we discuss every student, the students that are succeeding, the students that are struggling, the students that are maybe way up there. How can we challenge those students and we make goals for them? So the great thing is we discuss every single student at our school. How cool is that in every grade? That's pretty powerful. BAR has brought that to our school. So not only did we talk about the kids that just really needed the help, we're talking about everybody. So within that small block as well, it's kind of neat because if a kid needs maybe an extra job or something like that, we're also utilizing other people in the building. Maybe they're going to the library. Maybe they're helping the custodian. Maybe they're helping the girls up front. So everyone in the school is a part of this because truly it takes a village, does it not? Community Connect is, we're really proud of that. So Community Connect is, there's maybe an issue that we can't deal with in the school. We can't help that. Like I can't get gas in your car myself. I might have to reach out to some entities outside. So within our school, we help 31 kiddos with different things. We did last year help pay rent for a family. We were able to find a way to do that. So it's a really great way to have the community come in and help with some of those things. We had positive postcards were sent home from our team to every single student in the school. So we made sure to take some time just to write a little note to say, hey, you matter, you care. We're glad you're here. And the last one is youth time. So this is kind of embedded in curriculum. It is like morning meeting, but it is a subject we do across the school. They're the same. I know K2 looks a little different than 3-5, but it's still the same thing. So the first week of school, it would be, for example, it would be house rules. We're going to set the goal. What's our goal in the classroom? What are the rules? How are we going to do that? So that's just kind of a big, broad overview of what BAR is, but look what it's done to our school. Pretty amazing. Next slide, please. All right, let's jump into academics. So the pillars for our strategic pillars are academics, innovation, and school culture. So academics, I know sometimes the hard truth is hard to put out there, but I think if you really look at the numbers and the data, that's how you grow as a school, and that's how you can grow with your teachers, with your students. So you have math proficiency. In kindergarten, it went from 1% in the fall to 22 in the spring. Reading, 7% in the fall to 23 in the spring. First grade, 11 in fall, 46 in the spring in math. Reading, 3% to 13 in reading in first grade. Second grade, 3% in the fall, 9% in spring. And then reading proficiency, 20 to 22. Third grade, 20 to 57 in math. and then 58 to 50. So there's a lap there. Like those are things we need to look in and see what are we doing? We need to fix that. Proficiency shouldn't go down, it should be increasing. Fourth grade, 39 to 57 in math proficiency, and then reading proficiency in fourth grade, stagnant, 58 to 58. Like that's something we need to look back and go, what are we missing there? And then fifth grade, 22% to 57 in winter, and then 41 to 49 in reading. So on the side, I've listed some of the things. So ZERN, we were put on TSI, so that is targeted school improvement. And the state comes in and says, hey, what are you guys gonna do to fix this? And we really dug in deep when we saw our math proficiency scores there's some pretty big gaps there. The reason we didn't choose the reading side of it because we have CPLA. That's our new reading curriculum. So it's really great that we're already starting ground up new curriculum. It's amazing across the entire school because our kids are district-wide, and we have all these new kids coming in and kids we've had. So what a great way just to start fresh new with a new program. So we felt like that was covered for next year. So we brought in ZERN. ZERN is actually a math intervention program. So you do it during like what I need now time. So we decided we're not sure if this is going to work school-wide, right? What if what we were doing, we just need to fine tune? So we're going to pilot it in first and fourth grade until Christmas. We're going to compare those scores across the district as well as across the state. Is that program working? And if it is, we're going to adopt it school-wide during that intervention piece to get our math scores up. We're going to guide our PLC agendas a little bit more towards the academic side. We're going to enforce NAVI expectations. NAVI is a tool that's progress monitors, but what's neat about it is when you open it, it looks just like the state test. And then you can assign actual standards that you're missing, my one here in math or my reading right here. That's what I can assign for those kids to do weekly. So not only are you showing the kids, so they know what it looks like, because that's another thing too. If it's a foreign thing when they look at this test, that's going to throw them off a little bit too. So it's that consistency piece we thought. We added a strategist. Our strategist is going to be the person really digging into data with the progress monitoring, with CERN, with those tools, with NAVI, because we need to fine tune where are these gaps out. We need to find them and we need to find them fast. I think that's the biggest thing is feet on the ground in August. We're looking right away. How can we do things better and help get these kiddos where they need to be the proficiency? And then we are going to rearrange our paras. So paras often you think of as a recess at lunch. Our paras help teach groups. And so little groups. So those are other little pieces during that day. So we've got title, strategists, classroom teachers that are levelizing to that level, as well as paras doing small groups. So we're really putting an intense focus on this, on these numbers, and we need to get up there. So hopefully next year when I come up, I can say, hey, look what worked. And our goal is increase NDA plus expectations and scores. But we're gonna get there. It's always a work in progress. So next slide, please. All right, innovation. Innovation is always so fun because we get to do all the things. We got the steam truck. We went to the Minot Steam Center. Rock Your School is something we like to do. I can't touch on the Twins baseball spotlight yet because I have a really good slide for that. Magic Math Night. We had a magician come in and we had math games, and he did all these cool things with math for the kids. We were able to have the parents come in and not only have a fun academic time, but who doesn't love magic? It's so much fun. We went to the CTE, our second graders actually went to CTE and cooked with the kids there. That was an incredible opportunity, just having these relationships and partnerships, I think, with the high school, with the middle school. So that's incredible. PTO sponsored our field trips. We really thank them for that. And PE events. I'd like you to go to the next slide because this really showcases these. So our innovation videos, two videos, these activities were created by Bobby Gaffman, our incredible PE teacher. She headed these up. These are experiences, just really great things we were able to do for our students and staff. Please play.
Learned that it takes a lot of time and patience. That was my second time.
Be careful with the hook, have lots of patience, and be patient with the person you're fishing with. Only once. Like a bunch.
How many times?
Like 5.
I honestly don't know. I have to say like at least like 3 or 4 times. No.
Yes. Yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
I had fun.
Yeah.
So we piloted that for the first year, pretty incredible lifelong skill. The parents came and helped the kids. So just our 5th grade did it, so we plan on doing it again next year. And here's our second video. But during that time, not only were there FIAD activities, but we also in the classroom were able to teach the kids about the Olympics, because that's something very special that only comes along every 4 years. So pretty cool. Next slide, please. All right, school culture. I broke this down into 3 parts because I think it's very important to focus on each one. This one is our student focus. So we do have the STEM truck. We do have a choir for 4th and 5th grade, which is a great opportunity. We still do the school news live and we still give it back to the kids at the end each day. So that's really neat. Rock Your School, our color run, our twins baseball spotlight in the center there. Our 4th grade teacher, Stacy Feeler, had Pablo Lopez come in and she got him to Zoom with the kids and talk about school and the importance of education and how that got him where he is. So not only here is this awesome sports star and he's famous, he's on TV, but he's in there talking about the importance of reading, writing, and making that connection with the kids. They got to ask him questions. It was pretty incredible. And after that, they had hot dogs and all the ball field stuff. So that was pretty great thing. Buddy Thursdays, we're still doing Buddy Thursdays. So Buddy Thursdays is where we pair a lower grade, like a kindergarten to 3rd grade. They do activities, reading activities. They have a buddy. They know that person in the upper grade. Oh, that's my buddy in the hallway. We do that with every grade. We make sure to do that once a month with all our kids. So they do have a buddy and a friend that they know within that school. And I think that's going to be really important moving forward as we do have the new kiddos coming in and then the kids we've had already know how to do that. So just creating more of that culture piece. I wanted to go one more thing for school culture. I talked to Susan Pratty at Sloan Elementary, and we were talking about how could we do something fun like Freaky Friday, like bring my 5th graders to her school and get to know those kids and back and forth. Because with all the athletics and dance and different things and the community hockey, these kids know each other, and how great would that be? Come over to my school, I'm going to show you around for a day and you're going to do school with me. So I think really with the boundaries, let's create a team here, an element, like we could be a powerhouse of elementaries because our kids do know each other. And I think it's a great way to be sister schools, like we just, our community, we need to remember that. Next slide, please. School culture, family focus. So we are really big on pride ourselves on getting families there. This was a goal, I want to say year 2. It was really tricky because we did have a lot of new families. It's farther out than most of the schools, and most, oh, why should I drive back out there? I already was there to pick my kid up. So we started with some of the activities during the day, but as you can see, our Magic Math Night, we were able to get quite a few families now coming out to do these fun activities. We did have our ND studies project showcase. This was great. Our fourth graders did create an ND Studies project and they had presented to the public, to their moms, dads. We came in as classes, but what a great way to have kids take pride in what they've done and what they've learned. We had our fourth grade cultural potluck. We had one the year before as well. This is incredible. Families come in and cook dishes and they share their culture, where it's from, why it's a favorite. And there's some of the best food there. I'll invite you guys when it is. It was great. Signing day, look at how we were able to move all these kiddos to all these places, but have that fear alleviated by them coming to the school that night and getting to meet us and see our schools. I think that was really successful. And then again, BAR really prefaces bringing that community piece in. So at parent-teacher conferences, we did U times with parents so they know what we're doing in the classroom with their kiddos. Community connect meetings, we brought a lot of people in the community and parents in and said, you know, if these were some situations, how can we help you? What can we do? We presented at our PTO. So BAR is just an encompassing focus of everything. It brings everything together. It's wanting the whole community to be there for these kids. Next slide, please. School culture community. We're really big on culture, Missouri Ridge. We pride ourselves on that because I think when the kids know you're a family and you all want to be there, they can feel that. And they can feel that we're all happy and we want to be there for them. We had the Lions Club come in and do eye exams for those kiddos that couldn't get them. That was incredible. We had over 100 different kids seen for that. We're going to do that again. We have a partnership now with Colgate and the ND Dental Foundation. They're going to bring a truck in and provide some dental cleanings and different things that we can help families out with that. We have a lot of the cosmetologists and the hair salons coming in and helping out with different, like maybe talking about grooming or different things, or hair, or all kinds of fun things like that. Because the kids get excited, they like that. And it's fun to just help any way we can. We love having the athletes come out. We've had WSC and the high school athletes come out. They usually do a reading activity with the kiddos and they're incredible. They've been wonderful to come out. What great role models to see those big kids come down, the coyotes come down and help our little coyotes. We have a clothing closet for our students. So just in case they need it. The last one is probably my favorite one. As you can see, all the boxes of shoes. We've partnered with a nonprofit organization. It's called Shoes That Fit. So we ask for donations for $20 and they match it. We got 75 pairs of brand new shoes for our kids, and they partner with Nike, Adidas, Puma, all the big brands. So these shoes they're awesome. There's a couple pair of Jordans in there. I wish they fit, but there's some really great shoes in there. So these kids come in and a lot of them, maybe they can get that one pair of shoes for school, but what about the gym? They need gym shoes. And so we're able to facilitate that. They get to go pick them out. It's like a shoe store. They're like, do I get to go to the shoe store? And so it's a really great opportunity for these kids. And so it's grown every year. We're hoping the more donations, the merrier. We put it on our website, and it's just wonderful to see the community help our kids out. Next slide, please. All right, our staff, we love our staff. That's why we come to work every day, because it's such a great place. We do our SOAR awards with our staff, which we also do for our kids. And if you're unfamiliar, it's Student Outstanding Achievement Recognition. So we pick a student from every grade. Their parents are notified. They do not know they're coming. They get awarded at the school, and we talk about all the great things they're doing. It's a pretty special thing, but we also encourage staff to give to staff. So you can give an award to a fellow staff member. It's almost like a play it forward kind of thing, and it's really neat to see who picks who and why. And I think that helps with our culture too. We have our staff family wall in the workroom. We do scavenger hunts. We have bar rolls for each staff member. I think that has increased our culture a lot because everybody's involved with the students, because before there was levels of things and everybody is a part of this. We need you all. These kids all need you. Dress up days. I left the last one is 370 reasons to be thankful. In November, we're in the school year, getting a little closer to Christmas. I got butcher paper and I wrote every student's name on a piece of butcher paper. My staff meeting was to challenge my staff. We have 371 students. We need to write why they're amazing. And when they come to school tomorrow, it's going to be on the wall and they can see why we want them to be here. And it was such a great, powerful thing to sit and laugh and kind of share stories of why these kids are so fun. And it was neat to see. And I challenged them. I said, you can't do your class. You have to do other, just that bridge, because we are a bar school. They're all our kids. And it was super fun. And they were done so quickly. So it just was amazing to see, like, those teachers see those kids and then all the staff do it. It was great. It was really good. Next slide, please. All right, Vital Network. So we've been doing Vital for quite a while. I really like Vital Network. It gives me great feedback of things, areas we need to grow, things we need to do. Scores are 0 out of 7. The first one says my school is a positive place to work. 6.21, it went up 8%. That's a pretty good feeling to know that people want to be there. And that's not just me, that's everybody doing their part and in supporting each other. Next one, there is at least one other adult in my school who checks on me when I'm having a bad day. That's important to me because I can't be everywhere all the time. And look at that, your colleagues are like, hey, how are you? What's going on? What do you need from me? Next one, I'll ask my colleagues for help when I need it. 6.19, that's hard to ask for help. So imagine in a community, you feel like you can go next door and just be like, hey, I need a hand. That's very important. Adults in my school, regardless of position, establish good relationships. If we don't have good relationships, we can't expect kids to have good relationships, can we? Next one, leadership practices. This is very important because when you run a school, I think it's everybody. It takes everybody. You have the lead, but you want to give to people that can run things and take, and it's amazing to watch this beautiful building come to life, what I want to say. There's a process school leadership uses to effectively address safety issues. Where we're located at, that's a big deal because we are, I mean, it could be the roads, it could be the raccoon outside. There was one. It can be anything like that. We really want our staff to feel safe because if they feel safe, students feel safe. And that's the biggest thing. Safety comes first. Next, my school leadership acknowledges the good work I do. That's a big deal. Like I want to come to work and know I'm doing a good job. Because teaching, that's what you want to do. Am I helping the kids grow? Am I getting them where they need to be? So we were really happy about that. I had come up with a kind of a funny thing. I said SAS. And people said, what? I said substance and sustainability. If you have substance and you can sustain something, that's what it looks like. My teachers aren't in SOS, they're in SAS right now. And that's a really good place to be. Next slide. This is my incredible staff. This is our Hawk family. These are the wonderful people that come to work for me each and every day and give their heart to our kids, to each other, to our culture, and to our school. So I appreciate your time. Thank you guys for tonight. So it's always great to come and share.
Thank you so much. Board members, questions, comments?
Not any questions, but I'm very excited. My nephew's attending Missouri Ridge for the first time this year, and I think he's going to come into a really incredible school. So I look forward to hearing about his year.
I wear costumes, don't be surprised.
Thank you for speaking with us tonight.
Yeah, thank you. Again, you always do a really good job and, you know, I just feel like I'm always saying the same cool things, but it's the truth. I really like how you guys are doing BAR. I really, really do. I mean, all the schools do a fantastic job, don't get me wrong. But your enthusiasm of how you speak about it just kind of, you know, makes me excited about it. So, the fishing trip was awesome.
That was a really, when Bobby came to me and asked, could I do this? And I'm like, oh my gosh, we have to do this. And so she was able to secure donations and we couldn't get more parents on the bus than I could even dream of. It was incredible. And how great for those kids. And it's right in our backyard. You didn't have to go on a bus 2 hours to get there. It's right here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I was incredibly impressed with that. And the fact also that you're still doing the Buddy Thursdays.
Oh, yes, yes.
Yeah.
It's not that you take things away. You can add more.
Yeah.
More is more in my world, honestly, in elementary. So I love it all.
Yeah, I've always been a very strong supporter of those buddies. Pieces. My kids loved having buddies, and then my youngest loved being a buddy to a younger child when she grew up. So, and not all schools have always done it. And I was lucky that she experienced it when she was younger. So I'm glad that kids are doing it. Now that we have the neighborhood schools, how's your class sizes looking?
They're actually, I was gonna say, well, Infinite Campus, let's just say that. From the lens that we can see, they're nicely sized, they're proportioned. And it's gonna be, you can't pick where someone built their house, and I sure hope they built it in my boundary. I want you to come there. Actually, someone is on the way out, and I was excited. I was like, Missouri Ridge Hawk, coming up.
Very cool,
Yeah.
very cool.
So-
So, well, that's good to hear. That's good to hear. So,
Well, and if they do get to that point, I know our job is to make sure we're providing the best for each kid. So if that means another section, if it means another teacher, I mean, that's what we do as a district. Like, that's why
Absolutely.
education is so fun. It's flexible.
Yep.
You never know.
Yep.
So-
Yep. As a side note, it'd be nice to see where we are sitting when it comes to the classroom sizes in each of our buildings. Now that the neighborhood school piece is done and everyone's going to be starting in their new schools this school year, I'd really like to see how everything falls into play there and how our class sizes are looking and those building sizes are looking, because I think that's going to be really important to be able to show the public this was the right thing that we did.
Right.
This would be perfect for September, after we get our numbers and
Yeah,
So,
once we have those
Yeah.
final numbers, exactly.
Yeah.
So I just figured that would be a good way for me to put that request out there, but thank you so much, and I don't want to take up any more time.
Thank you, Mrs. Wheeler. Anyone else? Comments, questions? I'll just reiterate what's been said. You guys do a great job. I really like the buddy system as well. I think just starting that early at the elementary level just makes it a normal facet. So you get to middle school, now you're brought up. You get to high school, now you're brought up. And then you're in that leadership position. You understand that's what's a responsibility. It's really important to our culture. I really like that you guys think about the whole family with all you guys do for the dental and the shoes and the just the potlucks, you know, just kind of involving the whole family, getting to know your students and getting them to kind of bridge those differences and kind of.
It's incredible to watch, like, them come together. It's such a great thing.
It's awesome. I kind of just following precedent, good leadership. One thing Mr. Swart was always really good about here is kind of finalizing. Is there anything the school board should do to help support you guys?
I love that we have this time to share with you, and I love the reflection piece where we get to talk about what we're doing moving forward, or like, again, if there's gaps in learning or needs, I get to share what we're doing to fix that. So I appreciate the openness of this and us allowing us to come in and kind of share where we're at, because you see it from a lens, but you don't get to see all the pieces the moving pieces within it. So I appreciate you guys always just having our back and listening, and if we need things, like always being open to comments, suggestions, questions, help, all the things. So thank you guys for letting us come in here and share.
Oh, this is awesome. We love this part. Yeah, this is good. So, all right, that wraps it up. Thank you very
All right,
much.
okay.
Appreciate it. Okay, moving forward to item 4, communicating with the public. Public participation at board meetings is governed by district policy BCBA. Meetings of the board are conducted for the purpose of carrying on the business of the schools, and therefore are not public meetings, but meetings held in public. It is the policy of this board to afford that opportunity in accordance with the following procedures and North Dakota Century Code 44-04-20.1. Only items on the published board agenda or on the previous meeting's published agenda will be discussed at any meeting of the board unless the superintendent or board member requests an addition to the agenda of the regular meeting of the board. Members present approve in accordance with board policy. And 2, no individual may speak more than once. Please state your name for the record, state the agenda item you are speaking to. Comments will be limited to no more than 3 minutes per individual. Public comment will be limited to no more than 30 minutes in total. The board had adopted policies governing patron complaints. The public is required to seek redress through these policies. The public will be prevented from commenting on a topic if it is governed by a district complaint policy and the complainant has not yet followed the procedure contained in the policy, and or the policy prohibits the public from bringing the complaint before the board. 2, concerns a topic that is prohibited by law from disclosure to the public, such as a student's educational record. Undue interruptions or other interference with orderly conduct of the board business cannot be allowed. Defamatory or abusive remarks are always out of order. The presiding officer may terminate the speaker's privilege of address if, after being called to order, she or he persists in improper conduct or remarks. Furthermore, any individual who persistently disruptive of a school board meeting may be removed from that meeting by order of the presiding officer. Board members will not engage in dialogue during the public comment period. Questions may be answered by the presiding officer or an administrator at the following meeting or in writing at a later time. If you wish to provide any public comment this evening, please step forward to the podium, announce your name for the record, as well as the agenda item you are speaking on this evening. Is there any public comment? Is there any public comment? Is there any public comment? Okay, moving on. Item 5, informational report to the board. 5A, budget for the report for school year 26-27.
So
again, we're in the second year of the changes that the state legislature made with the budget presentations and things with the district, but we still have to let the county auditor, the superintendent of schools know when we're presenting and then when we're adopting, but we don't have to do all of the extra steps that we used to have to with multiple meetings and different things. So tonight is the presentation of the budget with the information. And then if there are, questions, changes and things that we need to make, then we may, have to have extra meetings in between now and in September when we will adopt the budget. So with this, so this is where we have come up with, based on the funding model or the funding that's been allocated by the state, where all those dollars are coming from, and then based on where our current employment or, with contracts for teachers and all of our employees and covering all the utilities and all that fun stuff. But when we're working on the budget, we always keep in mind our mission, vision, and statements with the district. So, why are we here? We're here to educate the students. So where do our dollars go? But so, we're trying to keep everybody in, a well-rounded education. So again, the changes because of House Bill 1176, we have to adopt the budget no later than October 10th. So as long as everything is looking okay, we should hopefully have it adopted by our September board meeting, which is well in advance of when we have to. So in here, get rid of stuff on my screen. So just the first part of my presentation here is just some comparisons of where we're at compared to other like-sized districts within the state. So within here, so this is where our funding dollars coming from. So we've got basically 3 pots is where a big part of our money comes from. So we've got the local county money, so the taxes that are levied. We've got the state money, which is allocated every 2 years by the state legislature. And then our federal dollars, which is a big portion of that, is title dollars for our title schools. So just kind of looking in here, so we're about 56% of our money comes from the state. One thing to kind of note that, I don't know if you notice, like with McKenzie County, they get very little from the state because they get a lot of money from oil and gas. So basically, the money that we get from oil and gas are deducted off the top from the state. So that's the reason kind of for the disparities there. And then you can kind of see over in the east where there isn't much oil and gas, they get a lot more state funding. So it's just kind of the way for the state to equalize the funding, which kind of has its give and takes also, because over there, they're not having to deal with the transiency and the cost and expense of everything. So there's always that argument. So in here, then we're always talking, how much money per student do we spend? So we're kind of right there in the middle. We have 146 districts. I mean, I guess a little bit above middle, but last year we were at 121, or the year before that. So these all are figures from 24-25. This is all based on financial facts that the state sends out, and so they're always a year behind. But you can see here that we did grow as far as what we are spending per student. There are certain factors that go into that, so it's not every dollar that's spent out of the district, but there are the set pieces that the state looks at. And then mills levied. So this is what we levy for our local taxes as far as for our funding, for our local funding at this, for what our total budget is. So you can see here, the state average is 104 mills. We're little above average at 113. And one thing that, and I don't know if all of you have, in the past with Fargo, they actually took to a vote of the public and increased their general fund mills. I can't remember, is it 20 mills that they do or something anyway, but that has to be done every 10 years. And so they're having to go back and do that. I think this year it's coming up anyway. So it's not a given that it is always there. So now, where are we at? So right now, the proposed budget, so we have the revenue coming in at a little over 103 million. And then the projected expenditures to be just a little over 100, giving us, which I guess I should change surplus. It's not really a surplus, but it's to bring into our reserves. So right now we have the 15% is what board policy is for reserves. I have a slide kind of show we're going to be pushing right there at 10% with where we're at right now. So, and one thing too, when you're looking at, like the surplus, then we're coming into a negotiation year. So that's always going to be fun trying to explain, okay, well, we've got board policy, we've got, things to cover. So it's not like it's pennies from heaven. So this is just our mill levy comparison over the last few years. So with ours, we always, do the 70 mills for the general, which is our basically bare minimum from the state. Our special assessment and the miscellaneous and the tuition are pieces that the state has added in to help with different areas within the school budget. So, and these are like the 2.46 is just kind of in an area with the number of dollars that we need for different things. The miscellaneous, the max you can do is 12. So we usually do the 12. And then with the tuition, so is what that tuition piece is. So with our kids and being a public school, if we have kids that are placed in state facilities or other educational facilities, we get billed from those places for that tuition, for that. If it's an in residence or in-house, facility, we get charged the residency. So those costs come back on the district. So the tuition levy is a way for us to cover some of those costs. We have to be careful because we do get some, already get some state assistance with those, but there's a formula with it. And so it doesn't cover the full 100% of what we may pay that facility. But then it also depends on if they're regular ed or sped kids. So they have a kind of a mechanism in there for the cost of the education above and beyond what a normal education for a kid would be, like within your district. So there's formulas that they do. We got to file reports with the state. We got to request reimbursement. We got to do all kinds of things. But the dollars that we levy there are to cover our piece of the pie that we have to pay for those placed kids. The other ones with building funds. So that's so one thing with school finances, we have different funds, and then that state statute that tells us what we can spend out of those funds. So the building fund, of course, is where when we sold the bonds for the Slolan Elementary project, that went into the building fund, and then all the costs associated with building Slolan are then paid out of the building. So, but then we also have these 10 mills that we levy to cover deferred maintenance In years past, the district hasn't been able to pass bonds for different things, so they've basically kind of in essence taken a loan out, but allocated building fund dollars to pay those loans. So out of those 10 mills and the dollars that we get, we're left with about 1.5 to 2 million to do deferred maintenance projects and different things with. So, and with the building fund, we're limited to the 10 maximum of 10 mills unless we go to the vote of the public to increase that. And then the sinking fund is where we pay the bonded debt that was actually put out to vote, and the taxpayers voted to approve that. So Slolan is on there, and then there's things from years past. And then the reason we have to split out District 1 versus District 7 is that the county then has to calculate based on what the old original District 1 boundaries are to pay for some debt versus the whole District 7 or what used to be District 8. So like Slolan is in District 7, so it covers the whole thing versus prior for District 1. So just some history and percentage increases, and then taxable values. So the money that we get from the mills are based on taxable value within our district. So most years those go up, and if you remember last year, we were looking at a very slight increase in our taxable value because of some TIF districts, but they ended up then closing or canceling some of those TIF districts. So then we saw a pretty significant increase. So the nice thing about when taxable values increase, that means the taxpayers' cost also spreads out. So even though we're raising more money, they really shouldn't see any significant increase in their taxes unless we do like a bond and things like that. So again, the revenue over the prior years for budgeted versus actual. Again, one thing that I want to point out, with the revenue differences in prior years, we had the disparity with the federal money because it wasn't getting claimed in the year that it was spent. And so we had the expenditure, but not the revenue to offset it. And so this last year, we've really worked on getting that cleaned up. So we should have a nice clean proportion going forward. Payroll. So we're in the final year of the current negotiated agreements. So last year we had a little over a 3% increase. This year then it was just a 0.5% increase. But one thing with that though, yes, we did a 0.5, but like with the teachers in the classified scale, they get years of service. So yes, the base increased by 0.5, but then they also get the steps. So I mean, that's an extra cost on the payroll. So we didn't just have a 0.5% increase in our salaries. We had 0.5 plus the years of service step. Not everybody gets the years of service. So like us in admin, just got the flat 0.5%. So, but then also with that, when gross salaries increase, our retirement costs increase because we pay both sides of the retirement for all of our employees. So, and all of that is based on a percentage of the salary. So when salaries go up, retirement goes up. And then the other, kind of wild card out there is the health insurance. We've budgeted for 15% increase, and we're starting to get those in, and we're looking, at about the 10 to 12% increase. So, but I always like to have a little cushion in there because new hires coming on that, prior employees didn't take the insurance, but we have people that then now sign up and take the insurance. And then also it's kind of hard, or not hard, but we also have the variable in there that our year goes from October to September for the health insurance. So between now and October, we could have people that didn't take it this year, but they're gonna take it next year. So we've always gotta kind of have that variable in there as far as covering all the health insurance. And then as far as the other expenditures within the district, so as far as the sites go, last year was the first year that I did this, but I allocate dollars based on the number of students. So if you're a larger school site, you have more kids, you're gonna have more expenditures to go with those. So based on the last several years of expenditures, I kind of came up with an average. So the site budgets cover, you know, like their paper and classroom supplies and office supplies and anything extra that they want to do with the kids. And so for the elementaries, it's $85 a kid, the middle school, $125, and the high school, $225. And so right now, the budget is based on last spring's count, but I will update this then when we do our October count to get our official count. So these may, like I was telling the secretaries today, you know, their budget may go down, it may go up, or it may stay the same. So I do try to keep that updated, you know, based on that actual count so that they have their dollars to spend on the kids. And then we allocate a little bit for their library. So this is just for books, binding, you know, things that are needed in the library. And then also each site is required or takes care of their custodial supplies. So that's the cleaning supplies, paper towels, toilet paper, things like that. Maintenance has a separate budget for repairs within the buildings too. So the sites don't have to take care of that. So if they need something fixed, they put in a maintenance ticket. Maintenance has the budget that they pull from to take care of the sites. And then here is then the rest of the budget. So we've got, you know, maintenance, site repairs and maintenance, transportation, curriculum, and so on. But our big ticket items are our contracts with Harlow's for bus service and Wilmac for SPED. So, and we have within our contract with Harlow's, it's set as far as what the percentage is with that. So we increase that. We're gonna hopefully see a little bit of a change because of our neighborhood schools, but we'll kind of see how that all comes out in the end. And then with Wilmac, it's, you know, and one thing with, you know, with public schools, we cannot deny a kid education. So we take every kid that's out there. And so, you know, we can be going, cruising along, things are good, and then we get a high needs kid in and we have to find the money for it. So, but so we try to, you know, within that, give a certain percentage as far as what we pay Wilmac for, but then like say, we've also got those tuition pieces where we may have to send a kid to a separate facility and things like that. So those just kind of looking in our crystal ball, seeing what we have out there. So we break those out. Each department gets their piece of the pie. I'm working with like maintenance and curriculum and all of those, trying to get, you know, a district standard. So the sites know what is our responsibility as a district and what is their responsibility as a site, so that it helps them determine what they need to use their specific pot of money for. Technology, of course, is a huge piece of the budget because we've got, you know, all of the licenses and the one-to-one devices and all of that fun stuff. So it's always, you know, trying to figure out replacement schedules and what they can afford in the budget that year and all of that fun stuff. So all in all, we get down to where I've said our total general fund versus expenditures versus the revenues. And that's the other thing, this is all for the general fund. So the building fund, yes, we levy for that. And that was one thing in the building committee that we were gonna start delving more into a budget for the building fund and things like that. And then the general fund things, of course, each month you get my budget report and what we spend on expenditures and things like that, so. And then, so this here is basically where we're looking as far as fund balances. And you can see, oops. So again, with the general fund, so I'm looking at, a balance change of 3.9 million, but hopefully it's, I guess this would be to close out this fiscal year 26. We're at just about 8.9 million. And so that puts us right at about, I guess I don't have the question or the percentages here, but like I say, it'll put us right at about 10%, I think just a little over 10%. So we're getting there because you remember a couple of years ago, we were down to what, 2%, 3% as far as our fund balance. So we're getting there. But I mean, we're one boiler replacement away from losing all that fund balance again. So, and that's the one thing too, where the fund balance is key for is one that, I mean, we don't necessarily start getting a lot of our revenue until November, December. So we operate on that fund balance to make sure we can pay our bills from 1st of July till then. But it's also kind of like our savings account too, that if we have a major event where, we have to replace a boiler or 2 boilers or, whatever, that we have that little bit to fall back on, which kind of resets us back to go back and rebuild. But the more we can have there, the better. Also, if we ever go out for another bond, one of the things that the bonding company looks at as far as what our rating, which then tells the people that buy the bonds how good of a bond is, they look at our fund balances. So the better fund balance you have, the more favorable you look to those bonding companies to buy our bonds. So. Questions, comments? What's that?
Thank you, Mike, appreciate it. Board members, any questions or comments?
I just have one.
Yes, Ms. Wu?
So very good job as always. I thank you. I noticed that you have the comparison in here, especially when it relates to the federal from 2 years ago. And we were so much lower. I'd be curious to see where we are now in comparison to where we were.
And so this, like I say, this year, fiscal year 27 will be the first true year of, because last year was a catch up because we still had a lot of things from the prior couple of years that we were claiming to get in. So we're caught up now, as of June 30th, we were right on schedule where I wanted to be, that within the next month, we're claiming what we spent the prior month. And usually when we get those claims in, the state is good within, a week to 10 days that we get our money. So this year, will be that true comparison.
On time. Yeah. Yes, I'd be curious to see maybe later at the end of the school year, leading into next year, being able to see what some of those comparisons are. I think the public might be interested as well.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And then too, I was just working with our state auditors. Mr. Schur today, just getting some questionnaires done so that we can get started on fiscal year 25. So as I mentioned, or we mentioned, was it last month was the audit presentation that, so we've got 2 years yet to do to get completely caught up. So we're gonna do, instead of doing 2 years like we did with that audit, we're just gonna do 1 year at a time. So here probably next, or by the end of this month, we'll have kind of some dates of, when things are gonna happen. And then our goal is then to get 25 done this fall and then right away jump into fiscal year 26. And then we'll be caught up. And then going forward, it'll be, so like this time of year, we'll be starting the fiscal year that we just finished into the audit so that we have that done before we jump into the next year. And also then with that, once we get caught up, then we can look at, consolidating some of the debt that we have to try to get a better rate and try to get some of those paid off sooner so that we can free up some of that building fund money. We pay a little bit out of general fund as far as for some of the debt. So the sooner we can get those paid off, the more we'll be able to have to put back into the budget. So.
Can I ask a clarifier?
Yes, please.
So just to clarify and make sure that I understood what you said. So this year, we are going to be doing 25's audit this fall.
Yep.
We're going to be doing 26's audit in the winter.
Yep.
And the next year, we will be able to kickstart with our audit and be back on normal schedule. So 2 audits this year.
Correct.
All right, great, thank you.
Yeah, and then going forward, there'll just be 1 audit
Perfect.
each year.
Excellent, good, thank you. I thought I understood exactly what you said. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
So thank you, okay.
I'm just gonna jump on that real quick for those, just for the same kind of question follow-up. As far as reporting on the audits, something about audits getting completed, and we report on them, and we have a series of audits being completed at the same time. We're actually gonna be finishing an audit as we're in the thick of our 26 audit. Are we potentially reporting on multiple audits at once, or are we just like, how do you see this playing out? Because the state audits might take longer than the 26 audit.
So if I understand
I'm
correctly,
sorry.
so I mean, basically, yeah, we're gonna still do 2 audits in this year, but they're just gonna do 1 year at a time. So the audit report that we get will be for 1 year. So there'll be an audit report for fiscal year 25 to approve. And then once that's done, then we'll go start on fiscal year 26. There may be a little bit of an overlap, just to kind of, because there's preliminary stuff for the next year that can be worked on while the other one's getting wrapped up and things like that. So, but yeah, there'll be 2 separate reports, approvals that'll be needed this year versus like what we did 1 approval for 2 audits,
Yeah.
which is kind of why it dragged on so long, is because if you found something in 23, then that changed 24, so they had to, jump between both years to make corrections and different things. So there's trickle down things by doing 2 years at a time.
We have to conclude the 25 audit to start the 26 audit.
We do.
Okay, so we have to wait for the state to finish before we can go back to private firms.
Correct. Which, and we can put it out for an RFP, in which, when we did last year, it was, we got rejected by the private ones just because we were so far behind. But, so far, they've been great to work with, and, we just have to see when we put it out if they're still cheaper than, what the other ones will be, but we'll have more options. Yeah.
Board members, any other questions?
So this is, just getting this out there so the public can review it too, because it's out on our website. And so if there are questions, or requests to change things, we basically have to have another hearing before things can be approved. But if we go through the next few weeks without, questions or requests for changes, then in the September one, it'll just be the adoption of the budget as presented.
Understood. I do have a few more questions.
Okay.
I jumped in front of the members. So you talked about the building fund and the sinking interest fund. Do you know sunset dates tied to those?
We do, a majority of what we have right now is like 2034.
Okay.
And there's a few, like we actually paid one off this last year, which is a tiny one, but and I do have our debt schedule, and I can send that out to y'all to see, where we're at and how much we have to pay. Because that's one nice thing too is when we do the debt, then we have to provide a debt schedule for the life of the bond or the debt. So we know every year what our payment is going to be. And of course, like with the sinking fund, we usually add, 2 to 5% on there, because if all taxes aren't collected, we still have to have a cushion in there to be able to make our payments. So we add a little bit just to make up for any past due delinquent taxes that aren't collected and things like that too. So, and we do carry a little bit of a fund balance in those other funds to kind of help in those situations too. But we also kind of hedge it a little bit with, an extra couple percent onto what we actually need to pay as far as the sinking fund goes.
I just wanted to get a gauge on, for us and the public, on how long those dollars are tied up.
Yeah. And that's where we can look, like say, once we get the audits done, look at those that are extended out. Because now we have our audits done, would that make us more favorable, get a better bond rating, get a better interest rate to be able to, and we can, keep our payment the same, but maybe trim off 5 years. We still want to get those, so.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, school lunch bill. I think strategically, we're probably looking at that a little bit differently. So this,
That's too where, in the next, couple meetings, we'll be looking maybe more at that to kind of get a direction from you guys, because it's kind of been the stance of the district that we don't go to collections on those. But really it's, because we have options for parents like the free and reduced, different things. So it's, because we're still looking, we're pushing, about 200,000 in outstanding lunch bills, which our food service fund kind of reflects that. So I've had to move some more salaries from food service to the general fund because of, their flow isn't where it needs to be because of the outstanding bills, so.
yeah, no, I think before we're talking about collections or anything of that manner, probably at least budgeting for a supplement. So knowing that if it does not get corrected, it does not get just taken care of like it has in the past, that money's not coming from something else.
Right.
But yeah, that's something we'll definitely keep talking about. In terms of the mill levy and valuations, just wanted to kind of talk through a little bit more, because our mill levy went down, right?
Correct, because of
Valuations
our,
went up.
yeah, and
People
so,
can expect to pay a little bit more. It has nothing to do with school district's budget,
correct,
outside of the slow and bonds,
correct,
which are listed on this statements.
yeah.
Carlos was answered, so I appreciate that. And then I just wanted to say I'm really glad to see the traction of building equity in our buildings, our school buildings per budget. I think that's really, really important. And then on top of that, then seeing clear expectations from the district, what they should be working through PTO and, you know, fundraising versus what are those pathways to the district. So I really appreciate that being worked on too. If there's nothing else on the board, we move on. Thank you.
But yeah, if you think of anything, do now and next month, you know, feel free to reach out. I can answer any questions.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it. Okay, move on to item 6, monitoring school district operations, 6A. Field operational expectation, mobile monitoring.
All right, good evening, everybody. First one we're gonna look at is operational expectation 1. I like to call this one, the superintendent is nice. And so the summary of the policy, shall not cause or allow to fail reasonable measures. They list all these bad things, unlawful, unethical, unsafe, disrespectful, those kinds of things. As far as my evidence goes, I think that I have shown that we're in a pretty tight ship, that I've been a very decent leader for our district. The second one talks about strong relationships with the community. Obviously, I think I have showed that in the things that I've done. And then the third one, actually, I have some good things to talk about. It talks about being in statewide professional organizations. Last Thursday and Friday was, on Thursday, there was a superintendent boot camp in Bismarck. And I was actually asked to go down and to do a presentation on government. And so I talked to all of the superintendents in the state, along with 2 of my colleagues, and we talked about governance for a couple hours. And then I'm also part of the study council, which are all the Class A superintendents. So we met Thursday night, and also on the strategic advisory committee. And so that's a bunch of superintendents that are involved in policy making, talking to legislators. So on Thursday night, we talked with Representative Lauser on Minot. There's this idea pushing forward. Maybe this will be the first you've heard of it, but they're looking at all of the schools in the state going under NDPERS. And so the state would pick up all of our medical, as Mike was talking about, how medical has gone up. He was budgeting 15, it went up like 12%. So anyway, that committee is talking with legislators and those kinds of things. So that's a whole nother discussion, but I'm in on the forefront on those discussions. So I would say that as far as OE1 goes, that I'm in compliance.
Board members? Motion.
Motion that interpretation was reasonable and it is supported, evidence supports compliance.
Second.
Motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Overland,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Wolf,
Aye.
Wheeler,
Aye.
Sluter,
Aye.
Barge.
Aye. Motion carried. Just gotta say for the record, probably, I said aye a lot in that presentation. And like talking about yourself. That's an uncomfortable one to imagine.
Yes.
Okay, 6B, approve results policy, 8, innovation and technology monitoring report.
All right. As far as this goes, it's dealing with technology, our technology goals, and innovation. Requires district to provide reliable, secure, sustainable technology that supports students, right, staff instruction and district operations. The best 2 guys to come talk about it is Greg Larson, our tech director, and his assistant, Chad Knoll. All I can say is you've seen, we've kind of gone through some tech issues, I'll just call them. And I would say our tech department has made leaps and bounds, and we are doing great things. And these 2 are the reason why. So I would like to have them come up and kind of talk about that and show that I'm in compliance.
Just to go through by section.
No, not necessarily, just if you want to hit the high points.
We have a question.
Okay. Ask questions.
I would say I would read the first paragraph of the evidence of compliance. Since transition in the technology department leadership in September of 25, the district has placed increased emphasis on centralized technology management Standardized systems and processes, stronger device and account governance, data-informed decision-making, clearer technology asset and accountability, cybersecurity, and more efficient support services. Really focused on not just going with what we have done in the past. Quite happy, Chad and I have worked on, the first I would bring up would be the Microsoft licensing. We just cut $36,000 off of the yearly Microsoft licensing. There's been a long-standing amount of accounts that had students that were no longer with the district, staff that were no longer with the district. A standard number of saying 800. 800 is what we license for. Well, most likely someone who's not instructing doesn't need to have Office that runs on their computer. They can have Office that runs from a website, but having it for a device that they weren't issued is unnecessary. And so we were able to cut that down about in half. Excessive amounts of licensing, from my perspective, voice for Teams meetings. Not that you can't use it, but it would be if someone was outside of the district and was going to join a meeting, a Teams meeting. We had 500 licenses. Well, there really aren't likely 500 people that are going to be using 500 instances of a third party that, if they had Teams, doesn't even have to be in the district. If they had Teams, they wouldn't use the license. They'd have to be calling in completely on a separate phone line. So just really looking at it and saying it's really not necessary. Just excessive, too much, oh, what if spending, just in case. And so cutting out a fair bit of that. Looking for other options, such as the ticketing system. $6,000, not a huge amount, but every dollar counts. And I really focusing on what's best for the staff. Our previous ticketing system, honestly, you could go through 7 pages of clicking before you would be able to submit a ticket. And so the approach now is 3 clicks or less. I don't want it to be something where it's prohibitive and a teacher just says, I don't care. I'm just not going to put in a ticket. Looking at some of the hardware, originally when we were quoted, you all had approved a just under $495,000 on 900 Chromebooks. That was working based off of, on a very short amount of time, the same devices that we had been getting, the same devices we had been ordering, which were convertibles. So you could take them and flip them over. After looking at it, we found out 3 weeks later that the hardware wasn't there, and the sales folks were very sorry, but they said, we can't really do anything. So you just have to go with something else. So we actually had the opportunity to really look at it and say, do we need a convertible tablet? No, because it's much more likely to break. Still a touchscreen. And so for that same amount of money, instead of 900 Chromebooks, we were able to get 1,070. So we got an increase of 19% buying power by not just going with what we had in the past. Still the same licensing, still the same coverage, just more, getting more for the purchasing power. There's been a pretty constant want for people to feel as though they know how to use the technology, and coming in and going, okay, is my device ready? No. Tech will get it to you. Instead, we've been very proactive. Chad is actually, you want to talk about the welcome?
Yeah, so one of the things they asked me to do was try to move up the ability for a teacher coming into the district to get off and running.
A new hire.
A new hire, yeah. So in the past, it was the unbelievable amount of work they had to get through to get to an endpoint before we could actually issue them an email and get them a device and get them integrated with their schools and their teachers. And so what we did is we put a plan in place to be able to build that device and get that email up further in the process. And then we put a two meeting a week sessions in place every Wednesday from 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. We bring those new hires in and we walk them through opening up their device, getting logged in, making sure their email works, making sure they know how to use Teams, making sure that they get onto KioNet, and just really alleviate some of those problems they have when they first get going. At the same time, HR issues the badge and gives them the credentials to get into their buildings. And I think what it's done is it's opened up the amount of time that these people have to get up and running before they actually, have to hit the ground running. So we've moved that up in the pipeline so that they're given much more opportunity to get going quicker and to get integrated with the teams. And I think it's been a success so far, at least from the feedback I've gotten. So
If I can just jump in, as a former building principal, there'd be years where I'd have teachers that show up the first day and they didn't have their device and they didn't have connection. And on the first day, you're working in your buildings and you're supposed to be sharing Google Docs, right? We're both teaching physical science. Like, hey, what do you guys use? And show me your curriculum maps. And I can't even get into my computer. So, it doesn't make somebody feel welcome. It's hard to communicate in the 21st century when you don't even have your device. So that's been huge. The principals are in love with it because obviously their people they said I had to have people showing up first day and no computers. So that was a huge piece, huge lift.
I mean, it's the first few weeks that we've done it. We're going to get better at it. We're going to get faster at it. And then we're going to add things into the curriculum. So we're training a little bit more and more. And, we're really looking forward to getting people going quicker and alleviating some of those burdens that the first day of school causes a lot of stress. And we're trying to remove some of that. So, yep.
And it's been a great partnership working with HR because by doing this, HR has the opportunity to meet with their benefit specialist, as well as badges actually have pictures on them now, as opposed to in the past, Dr. Johnson would show off his bright orange square. Making a change with the badges as well. The goal of making these dumb badges so they don't actually open a door, instead switching over to a key fob. So nondescript, find it on the street, you'd have no idea. As opposed to if you had your house keys and you had your address and your security code written on it, that would be like finding one of these. And so starting the move towards this, the plus is the cost on this is less than $1. These are a few bucks, but that means we can easily print new ones. And so we don't have the teacher from 12 years ago still using that same badge. And so this really becomes identification. And so just really trying to approach it for school safety. Sorry? Oh, yeah, for sure. Yep. The board needs their badges.
I think one of the things that we added too is we put the system in place so that now we're historizing all of those badges. So every time a new employee comes in, they get their picture taken and they get their badge created, we've got it stored. So that if they do lose it, it's a pretty quick turnaround for us to get it back. And it's a little bit less painful than going through the entire process and taking it. Now you can just call and say, I lost my badge, and we can have it ready for a week. So expedite that process a little bit.
So I was away from the school district for 5 years. I still work with Pro IT. But when I left, really, as the tech department, we had no idea how much hardware we had out there. It was something that we couldn't even grasp. So bringing in and using Ninja One, which is a remote management, I can tell you exactly how many devices we have, how many switches we have, how many days a device has been up and running. Right now, one of the principals is sitting at 104 days as of 2 days ago since they've restarted their device. So we're pushing out updates. We're pushing out policies, ensuring that things are secure. So the reason that the 104 days is something, when somebody calls in and says, yeah, but I just restarted my computer, and I'll say, no, you didn't. No, I did. Closing it is not the same. So I guarantee, we met with new staff this morning and said 85% of your problems will be fixed if you restart your computer. Just, it's a number I've found through a number of years. Continuing with that, so the continued Ninja One is part of the package that Pro IT offers. Essentially, the amount of support that we get with that level 2 support really is, it's high level. It's if we can't get to it, if we don't have the time or we don't have the expertise, Pro IT has the professionals that have more experience in servers, in network, to be able to take something on that at this time of year. I had to send out an email saying, please just submit tickets. Don't send emails. Just please submit tickets, because there's so much that we're trying to get through. We will get to it, but it's leveraging what's out there and available for assistance. I don't know how much more you want me to cover on. I believe you all have a copy of this. I guess without going over, is there anything else?
Yeah, so I think a big one on here is to talk a little bit about the artificial intelligence, not just for students and for teachers, but what it does for our tech department. And part of the reason why we were able to save $30,000+ for licensing, in my former life, I wrote a lot of scripts for companies to be able to mine and audit data. And one of the things that AI does is it speeds up that process. And, through 2 hours of work, I was able to write some scripts that actually mined our licensing data and told us we had 30% of our users who had been, inactive on our system for graduation or whatever for 6 years or 5 years or 4 years or whatever the number it was. It gave us confidence to know we could shut those licenses off and recover those costs just by using something like ChatGPT and being able to leverage artificial intelligence. I mean, it expedites everything for us. And so I think as we grow as an educational system, having people who know how to use AI and know how to use it safely, and to be able to provide case studies and show value, I think AI is going to be a big player for all school systems as we go forward. So, I think it's great that we've, one of the things in here is the ability for us to get accounts with ChatGPT and starting to show teachers. I mean, the things you can do as educational departments and looking things up and not having to go pull out an encyclopedia and go to the J and find your way through. I mean, it's all right there at your fingers these days. I think one of the things we're going to do in the future is provide training on AI. And again, I think it's worth noting. So.
And as we're going through, we had the opportunity to look at contracts. Just because it was signed last year doesn't mean we're going to do it again this year. I just got one today where I think we can cut a pretty good more amount. It's not going to be huge. It might be a $2,000 savings, but we still don't need all those extra licenses. So
there's a lot of crossing over similar programs doing the same thing, and we were paying for 2 of them when we had the Venn diagram. So,
or somebody going, I don't know, who uses this software? Well, who bought it? Probably 6 years ago. Great, awesome. So, I mean, there can be hundreds of thousands that could be saved.
So the point about leveraging AI, it's
Absolutely.
that being available, looking at contracts is extremely important, because a lot of contracts predate AI. And a lot of things can be done now.
Yes.
Doesn't get you're negligent. You've got to put boundaries there, but resources are resources.
That's all, unless you have questions. I don't want to keep on going over all these details unless you have specifics.
Board members, any questions?
I have a question for you on the AI rollout for our teachers. I think that's wonderful. I'm just wondering if we've ensured that, one, their chats are confidential to the extent we can, and then 2, that we have policies in place of like what's appropriate use for AI versus not.
So it's actually ChatGPT for teachers. So every single piece of software, as I said, we spoke with new teachers this morning. Just because someone says, I'd really like to use this, right, we need to go through the whole procedure and look. If there's anything that has student information and it's stored outside of the United States, nope. The same thing with ChatGPT, where they are coming in with their policies. I still have a fair bit of reading to do, and ChatGPT will help me with parts of it, but making sure that it fits within our acceptable use as well. So,
and if I could answer part of that, so actually with my meeting with all the Class A soups, Bismarck just put together some policies and some different ratings. And I just shared that with our two, Mrs. Larson, our high school principal, Mrs. Zimmerman, our central campus principal, and the two, sorry, I'm not sleeping now because of the new school opening. It's a long day. But there's ratings on using like a 0. So the teacher in Bismarck says, okay, this is a 0 assignment. So you can't use any AI. Or this is a level 1. So you can run your introduction through AI. And so I just gave it to them today and they're like, oh, this would be awesome. And so we're gonna kind of mold it and steal it to what make it work for us. So there's these things that we're having to address with instruction. So. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the confidentiality is
Yeah.
more. Yeah. Awesome, thank you, guys.
Any other questions? Do we have a motion, board members?
I will move that, policy 8 is in compliance and interpretation is reasonable.
Second.
Second by Studer. Let's call the roll.
Johnson,
Aye.
Wolf,
Aye.
Wheeler,
Aye.
Sluter,
Aye.
Overland,
Aye.
Harsh.
Aye. Motion carried. Thank you guys for the presentation. Moving to item 7, committee reports. What I would say, how's everyone doing right now?
Can we have a 5-minute break for,
Yes, we can.
thank you.
Absolutely, it's 6:57. We will recess until 7.
Yeah. My house is 7 years old.
It's just
Saw
a
that
movie.
Okay, back in the meeting here. We'll go to item 7A, planning meeting report.
So we met about 2 weeks ago. I was nominated for chair this year. Thank you, Mrs. Wheeler, for serving as chair last year. I hope that I can follow in your footsteps well. We had two main items. One, we discussed kind of rearranging either the OE and results reporting schedule and the superintendent evaluation to make sure they all match up so that when we work through the evaluation, we've talked about each of the relevant OEs and results. And so at our next planning committee meeting this month, we'll make sure that those all jive with each other. And then starting in August, Mr. Arnold is going to have a report for us every month at the planning committee meeting, really kind of honed in on the building maintenance fund, deferred maintenance fund, so that we can honestly just plan better. So those were our two topics. Anybody have any questions? That's what I got.
Thank you. Okay, moving to 7B, governance committee for Mr. Johnson.
Yeah, we had a short meeting. We had to appoint a chair. Mr. Barch nominated me and wrapped her up in 3 minutes.
That's exactly what happened. Okay. Thank you for the reports. Moving to agenda item 8, matters reserved for board action. This board action will be requested on this item, which includes a confidential record that is exempt from open meeting requirements under North Dakota Century Code 44-04-19-2.2 and the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act under FERPA 20 USC 1232. What are the board's wishes?
I motion to approve the draft settlement agreement reviewed in the August 4th executive session.
Second.
All please call the roll.
Wolf,
Stay.
Wheeler,
Abstain.
Sluter,
Aye.
Overland,
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Barsh.
Aye. Motion carried. We'll move on to superintendent consent agenda. Do we have a motion?
I'll move to accept the superintendent consent agenda.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Wheeler,
Aye.
Sluter,
Aye.
Overland,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Wolf,
Aye.
Barsh.
Aye. Motion carried. Now item 10, board consent agenda. The wishes of the board.
Motion to approve.
Second.
First by Mrs. Williams, second by Ms. Suter. Call the roll.
Sluter,
Aye.
Overland,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Wolf,
Aye.
Wheeler,
Aye.
Barsh.
Aye. Motion carried. We will now move to board debrief of meeting with Mr. Johnson.
I thoroughly enjoyed the school presentations. I'm excited we're back into those, hearing from each of our schools and whatnot. I enjoyed, Missouri Ridge saw some good things. I really enjoyed the Vital Network survey. You can see that the teachers are wanting to be there and scores improved on that, which if you don't have happy teachers, you're not going to have a happy school. I thought Mr. Arnold gave a good presentation of the budget. He simplifies it so those who are not numbers people like myself can understand it. And yeah, glad we're getting into school year and let's keep things rolling.
Any comments from anyone else?
I echo exactly what he said. The presentation for the school, I do love those. That is my highlight.
I would agree. Again, I was going to say the same thing. It's just really nice to get back into that. That's, again, speaking for the board, why we do what we do on this table is for the kids and the educators in our district, and seeing it all there at our meetings is a huge highlight for us. Lots of good going on in our district. I'm very excited for the upcoming school year. and excited to support staff and see all the smiles again in our building. So at that, we will seek a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Second. Please call the roll. What do we do? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.